shortly, but let's officially get started. So I want to welcome everybody to our Unite for CRT meeting, and thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I think tonight will be a really fun and engaging discussion. We are going to talk about disability terms, disability language, and how it's perceived by individuals. And I think that will just be so engaging just because I think everybody's going to have a little bit of a different outlook based on background, based on, if they're disabled, how long they've been disabled. It'll just be a very interesting take on things. So a lot of the times we do this where it's, I'm interviewing an individual and then we open it up for a question and answer. Well, this time we do have a panel set up, and I'm so thrilled to have Miss Molly Hale.
Yep.
And Mr. Ben Hunsinger down here. And we're hoping to get another lady that's to be joining us here shortly. Hopefully she'll still be able to pop on. But even though we have our panel established, we do want to make this a very interactive conversation type of topic. So please, whenever you guys want to chime in and you have something to say, we would really, really like you to do that. We want this to be a very open conversation because it'll be just so interesting to hear everybody's takes on things. So basically just a quick background on Unite for CRT. Hopefully we have a couple of new new people joining us tonight. I think there's a couple of them out there. But basically Unite for CRT was established almost about 2 years ago. It's been going strong for a while now, which is wonderful. But there's a group of us that have been out advocating in Washington, D.C. for complex rehab technology for a little bit now. And we just wanted to find a way to stay together, stay motivated when we're all away from DC, because our work doesn't go away just because we leave Capitol Hill. So we wanted to form a group to keep everybody engaged and, motivated to keep advocating for complex rehab technology. Okay. And that's how it started, but we've kind of migrated into something completely different too. We still do that. We're still obviously advocating, and that's our number one goal, but also it's kind of turned into a nice meeting group for people with disabilities, and then also people that work in the industry, family members, caregivers, kind of everybody that has some sort of a relation to the disability world. And we've kind of come together kind of like a support group in a way, so that we can all share our resources and share our stories. And we've talked about wonderful topics about assistive technology in our homes and how to handle your caregiving system and what it's like to travel with a disability. And we've met some wonderful people. We've had some really great guests on in the recent months, and it's just been so fun to see this group grow. So thank you if you're new for joining us, and thank you if you're not new for coming back, because it's something that is very close to my heart and something I'm very passionate about. So I'm always happy to see some new faces, but it's always great to have our regulars continue to join us. So thank you very much. That is much appreciated. And when we're done with tonight's meeting, if you guys have any topics or suggestions on things that you would like to know more about or have a discussion about, or there's an individual that you think would be a great guest speaker, please let us know. We're always open to new thoughts and ideas and suggestions. So, but for tonight, like I said, our topic is disability terms, disability language, and how others, how everyone perceives it. And everybody kind of has their own way of doing that. And quickly, I'll just give you a very quick background on myself for the few of you that aren't familiar with me, but my name is Jenny Siegel, and I am a C4, C5 quadriplegic. I was paralyzed at 9 months of age from transverse myelitis. I was originally paralyzed from my neck down, but have regained partial use of my upper body with many, many, many years of physical therapy, occupational therapy, and currently I'm 38 years old. I work a full-time job as a sports producer here in Denver, Colorado, and I also work for the Colorado Rockies. So I lead a very busy and productive life. And so my wheelchair is just, extension of who I am. And it allows me to be independent. It allows me to do the things that I do. So that's just a very quick background on me. I want to pass it over to Ben. I want Ben to give a quick intro on himself, and then we'll let Miss Molly Hale introduce herself as well.
Thanks, Jenny. Hey, everybody. Welcome to everybody that's new. My name is Ben Hunsinger. I'm 34 years old, and I live in Georgia, and I've been a T4 paraplegic for 11 years. And and after I was paralyzed, I realized that there wasn't a wheelchair out there that was affordable, that would basically give me the freedom to go anywhere I wanted to, uninhibited by what a normal wheelchair was capable of. And I set out on a journey, and eventually it led me to the Southern Regional Technical College, Southwest Georgia, and I won a Shark Tank competition. And I started building wheelchairs for people, and pump them out. I can make one in 4 hours for $500, and I've made 200 of them in 2 years, and it's been awesome. And it's wearing me out, but I'm going to be a teacher next year and teach social studies, and yeah, I'm just enjoying life to the fullest. So it's been a wonderful thing to be a part of NARTS and see all the faces I see once a month. So if you're new, come back. It wears on you. So thanks. Go ahead, Miss Molly.
So I'm Molly Hale, and I am, my goodness, how did I get here? I'm 25 years into quadriplegic, little quadriplegic body. Told I would never have any movement past the tops of my shoulders, but by great fortune, I had a lot of skill in martial arts and yoga and continuum and Feldenkrais and breath work and all that stuff, that I was able to move beyond a narrow prognosis for me. Basically was able to turn away from claiming what I was told was going to happen to me. So I have a super vital life. I continue to train and teach martial arts. So I've been training for 11 years as a typically abled person and 25 years as a seated practitioner. And both Jeremy and I actually, we get to train and teach all over the world pretty much now. Now with this whole pandemic, it literally is all over the world. It's very different. I mean, I was not going to be getting into Ethiopia in this body this time around, but this medium has been grand. And Jeremy and I have a nonprofit called Ability Production, which produces ability, if you will, in a variety of different venues. And it's originally set up for people with spinal cord injuries, but it's actually drawing in people that maybe have MS or, you know, spina bifida or some other format. And that is a medium we work through. That's how we came in contact with the whole CRT and all you people, you know. And where we are now, we moved out of the San Francisco Bay Area, and we are on this land that we're living on. We're creating a fully accessible space intentionally. So anybody can visit. Anybody can visit. Oh, so I'll be still. Are you, Jenny, you're muted. Oh, there you are.
Yep, I'm here. I'm with you guys. Well, thank you guys, Molly and Ben, for, you know, sharing your quick story. And again, thank you guys for joining us. And kind of what Ben, Molly, and I met last week also with Jen and Cody, who hopefully will be able to join us here momentarily. But you know, we were just kind of trying to come up with a game plan on how we wanted this this event to flow. And again, we wanted it to be really conversational. And basically, once we kind of teed up one topic, it took off. And we just had a great conversation between the four of us, the five of us. And that's kind of what we're hoping for tonight. So kind of to get the ball rolling, what I was going to do was just share a couple of terms that I have heard used many of times that either has not so well with me, made me feel uncomfortable, just was something that I didn't really think was a good term as to explain an individual with a disability. And as I said, I've been paralyzed since I was 9 months old. So for me, it's the only way I've ever known that this has been my life. And I don't know what life is like outside of a wheelchair. And one world that always really bothered me was, especially when I was younger, I was always referred to as being handicapped. And I didn't like the way that word came across. It just sounded like I had something really wrong with me. Where yes, I do have a disability, but it really sounded like I had a label. And I don't think any of us should be labeled. All of us have our own unique characteristics and everything wonderful about us. And so that was something that I was never very comfortable with. And then, hearing that I suffer from transfer myelitis and that I'm a victim of this rare disease. And no, I don't consider any of that to be true. I don't feel like I'm suffering from anything. And a lot of the times growing up, when I would meet new people, or when I was mainstreamed, I went to a school where I was most likely, or most usually, the only youth in a wheelchair. So it was new to a lot of people. So people would approach me and say, what an unfortunate situation. And that one really, really bothered me because I don't consider my situation as unfortunate. It's unique, yes. It's not the plan that, my family had when I was a healthy baby girl being born, but this was the cards that we were dealt. And I don't consider it unfortunate. I have led such a wonderful and active life. And so much of that is because of me being in a wheelchair, because of me being disabled. I
Yeah.
have had so many opportunities and I've met so many wonderful people. An example is this group that we're with tonight. I would never would have been able to do half the things that I've been able to do. So whenever I would hear that, oh, this is unfortunate, or oh, I'm so sorry. No, that's not how I feel about my life. I feel that I'm very blessed to live the life that I live. And I feel very blessed that I'm able to do the things that I do. So that was always something that was, very hard for me. And I'm very, very, very close with my niece and nephew. And it's very interesting to see they are now 14 and 12. And it's very interesting to see what kind of the influence that I've had on their life without really trying to have an influence on their life.
Yeah.
They really notice things like when we're out shopping, they'll be like, oh, Auntie, you can't park there. Someone's going to park right on top of you. You're right, baby. You're correct. It really opens their eyes to the world. And I remember one time I was at my nephew's birthday party and he was helping Auntie and he wanted to work on my wheelchair. And when he was doing it, a mom came there with her little boy. Her little boy wanted to help Dylan. He wanted to help, fix my wheelchair. And the mom was like, "Oh no, 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 you don't want to do that." And it was, I didn't like that approach. I wanted this little boy to be as open to, working with me just like my nephew did. And I was able to use that as like a learning experience by saying, "Ma'am, no, it's okay. He's more than welcome to do this." And it made that little boy so comfortable. And it was an experience that he wouldn't have been able to share. So it's all in the way that we perceive things. And it's all in the way that some people are comfortable with, more than others. But I think it's so important just to use our opportunity to educate others. And those are kind of my couple of takes on things. But Ben, what are some words that have kind of either made you feel uncomfortable, or words that you would prefer to hear others using?
Unmute.
Muted. Just kidding. Let's try that again. I think this was a word that Molly brought up, but confined, I think, is the biggest one that has ever. When I heard that, I was like, I'm not confined. Like I don't know about the rest of whoever you're talking about, but that's not me. Where since day one from me, I was 22 and I got paralyzed. It was okay. I'm gonna go to the river and fish, and my wheelchair is going to come with me. So, and that developed into making wheelchairs. And man, it's just such a deep subject. It's like when I got paralyzed, I saw the wheelchair and I saw what people were living according to this, the norm of what society deemed as the way people in wheelchairs should live. And I mean, even my own father, he was like, people in wheelchairs don't dance, son. They're just wanting attention. And I used to love cutting grass. And when I got paralyzed, I still get out there with the little 2.5 horse Murray and do it with one arm. And he was like, you have no business doing that. And so I've always, not just words have got to me, but the way I felt a lot of people were letting their life be dictated by the mechanics of a wheelchair. And that really, really lit a fire in me to make a change with the way the way things are. And so confined, limited, disabled. Jenny brought up something that is, I hold my heart dear, is how young people look at me. I want to be somebody my younger cousins look to as somebody that's strong and as a leader and a good role model, not somebody that's hurt. And so I've always used that fire to push myself to be a leader in the realm of people that use wheelchairs or use medical devices. So that's my take on a few words.
Yeah, I'll throw in the word bound here, which is along the line of confined. And man, I see this word in print all over the place. And I see people using it. I even see people using it who are in the profession that treat us in some way using that language. And it's just like, okay, I have learned how to gently correct, to draw attention to another way, because, even with the drawing of being bound, all wrapped up and completely tied into a chair, because that's the image that comes out of the expression. And there's, I think when we were talking earlier, I had said something about, don't diss my ability. So I sometimes grapple with, differently abled and, the whole disabled thing, because I see, typically walking around people that they have disabilities going on in their, just from my body practices, I see bodies and I see the energetic body and how it moves. And I can tell when somebody's got a hitch in their hip or something's going on with their knee, or, so to me, they're just differently abled. And because as Jenny was saying, the breadth of contact that we've had because we're moving through the world aided by a mobility device is very different from a typical person. It brings a different element into it. Certainly has in my life. I wouldn't basically, under what circumstances would I have come in contact with all of you, really? And my life has been enriched because of it. And there's a story, I had brought this up when the group of us met first and we're talking about how to do this presentation. So there are words that we can use within our own tight little group that we could not ever use outside. And here's a case in point for me. Sitting at the Palo Alto VA hospital in the spinal cord injury ward outside, having a conversation with a group of men that were there. And there's one man, he's seated in a chair, and his legs are gone from above the knee, right? And he's saying, well, he's introducing him. As I said, well, my friends used to call me George Limp, And then when I lost one leg, they called me George Gimp. And now they just call me George Stump. Now, he can tell that story. He can tell that story with no problem whatsoever. No one's going to be offended, unless maybe somebody might be, but no one was offended. But we could actually laugh together in that moment. And so context of where a language gets used plays through. I know that in, what is it, Murder Ball, or, that particular game that I had been invited to play early on, I went, no, I think I've done all of my falling out of my, out of my ride that I'm interested in doing. But they refer to themselves as Crips, or a language that out in the world would be considered totally inappropriate, but within their context, it's an acceptable expression. So I'm stopping for the moment. I was looking at my notes to see if there was something else that was in there. Well, there is something else that's in here, because I just want to, it's again, from being around people who are, living their lives in different ways, I find that I just want to bring up the idea of forgot and remember, because I see a lot of people who are, learning to be in this new body and this new reality, and they give themselves such a hard time for forgetting to do something. And as they're talking about forgetting, oh, I forgot, blah, blah, I'm looking at them going, no, actually in this moment, you're remembering. Mm-hmm. And so the forgetting seems to collapse them, but the remembering seems to open them up. And so I just felt compelled just to throw that in this mix, in this conversation about language. It was on my notes.
I love that. That's fantastic. I really appreciate that last part.
Yeah.
I appreciate all of it, but that last part was incredible.
Yeah. Makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So some for some of our listeners out there, what experiences have you guys had, or what terms have you heard, or what terms do you prefer? That's kind of what we're trying to find out, how people get people's takes on that.
And Jen's in the room now.
Oh, awesome.
Hi, Jen.
Let's see, what kind of view do I have?
Hi, I'm so sorry that I was late.
Hi.
Parenting is unpredictable, right?
Yes.
100%. We are just so glad to have you, Jen.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. And I encouraged everyone in a meeting I was in earlier today with the Assistive Technology Coalition. So maybe some of them will pop in as well. And in typical teenager fashion, Cody has decided to play Roblox with her friend Rhiannon instead of joining us, but
hey,
it's actually pretty cool. Her friend Rhiannon uses a communication device also. So they both get on their iPads and have Roblox on the iPads, and then they have their phones or their other device so they can FaceTime. So they're playing together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
nice.
Good discussion so far. Again, I apologize for being late.
No, you are more than fine, Jen. And basically, we've just kind of went through and gave a quick intro on ourselves, me, Molly, and Ben, and just kind of shared a couple of terms and a couple of stories. So if you want to do the same thing for us, kind of let people know who you are, and those of you who don't know Cody, and just kind of share with us.
Okay. I am a mom of an amazing 14-year-old girl who has cerebral palsy. She uses a wheelchair. She has a gastrostomy tube. She has seizures. She's considered nonverbal and uses a communication device, but she manages her world extremely well. And we've just kind of been on this journey of adventure together, and thankful to have come across this group that we can connect with. One of our biggest things is advocacy for assistive technology and trying to make that sure that that's available for whomever needs it. And yeah, Cody's in 8th grade. She's the thing about cerebral palsy, as some of you may know, is sometimes it can affect your brain, but a lot of times it doesn't. And, really she is age appropriate when it comes to her cognition. And she's kind of, she's kind of, I don't know how to say it. She's a typical teenager, but she has all these other things that go on. So she keeps me busy. And one of the things, I told this story to Jenny and them the other day, but about a month ago, her dad, for some reason, put on Alexa, when she was in the bathroom, a song called Teddy Bear from the 1970s. And it's an old trucker song. And it's really, the pretense of the song is actually really good. The guy is talking about how he got on the CB with this little boy, and the little boy's dad had died because he had been a trucker. But the little boy, they called him, he's crippled. He says, I can't do much more because I'm crippled, but at least I can talk to you on my CB, on my dad's CB. So all the truckers in the area that were hearing them, they came in and helped carry this boy into their trucks, and then gave him a ride and stuff like that. But they said I am crippled. He is crippled. And I was kind of really shocked and somewhat mortified. The song's called Teddy Bear. And Cody has loved it. She has played it so many times. I can't even believe it. So for me, my shock was like, oh no, that's bad. That's bad. But on some level, she identified with that, and the word didn't affect her. So I found that was really interesting.
Yeah, context.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think she's in 8th grade, and luckily we've been really fortunate that there hasn't been any real teasing or bullying or anything like that. We've been very, very fortunate with that she has done really well in school. And so I asked her, is there anything that you wanted to talk about and things? And she really didn't have anything to say. And so I think that's a lot of that is an age situation. And I hope that she can still kind of remain sheltered from that as she goes on. Yeah, I think some of the things as a mom, you get protective of your kid and regardless of what's going on. And, sometimes people will come up to me and they'll say, what's wrong with her? Can I place my hands on her and pray for her? And I'm like, no, you cannot do that. There's nothing wrong with her. She doesn't need fixing. She is who she is. And kind of as Molly was saying that, we're on this journey and we wouldn't change anything about it. Mm-hmm. So, and one other last thing I'll share is this is not necessarily a word, but an action that happened. We were at the local carnival a few years ago with some kids and their parents. And one of the carnival guys gave Cody a stuffed animal. And the kids were like, well, why didn't I get one? And one of the dads said, some people would be really offended by that. And I was like, you know what? It made that guy happy to give Cody that gift. And is it pity? I don't know. But if it opens his eyes and has an interaction with someone who may be different than him, then I think it's a good thing. And as long as she remains grateful and realizes that, yeah, people are going to maybe do different things. But I think it was also a good lesson for the other kids that were there. I mean, there was one girl that was just crying because she didn't get a stuffed animal. And so we've had lots of learning experiences. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now.
Absolutely. No, and you made me think of something because I'm very close with my mom. She's been, my right-hand man throughout my entire, life as well. And I remember as I was getting older, I didn't remember when this instance happened, but a lot of the way, terms are used is also a generational thing based on, when people grew up and how old they are and things of that nature. And, my grandma told my mom one day that she was my great grandma. And she told my mom that, oh, that's just, I can't believe Jenny's going to be an invalid. And that's not, but that was just the term that people of her age, of her generation used. But my mom kind of, like how you were saying, kind of got defensive in a way and was like, Grandma, Jenny is not an invalid. Jenny is not gonna, not have a productive life and not do the things that she wants to do, so that's a big part of language, I think, as well, that people need to take into consideration is either their background, their age, their generational times, because that my grandma was wonderful with me. I was very, very close with her the whole time that she was alive, and she never was disrespectful to me. She never thought anything negative of me, but that's just the term that they used. But it even threw my mom off and was like, no, that's not how she is. That's not who she is. So that's just another example of how terms can be used, but it's not necessarily meant to be a negative word. It's just the background of those individuals.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard somebody say, oh man, that's really sick. And I had to kind of like try to figure out, it meant that it was really good, right? And it was like a total, it's like context again. It's like, where are the words coming from and what year, what season of life it's coming out of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nope, that makes all the difference in the world. And, sometimes it can be one of those, I mean, in a way, it was a way to educate people too. Like, no. Even though, my daughter does have a disability, these are still all of her opportunities. And so it can be used as an educational purpose as well in the same token.
One question I have too is that a lot of times when we're doing our podcasts or whatever, I use the word various or the words varying abilities. I don't know if that's good or not, but to me, it's comfortable. You know what it means? That because everybody has varying abilities, just like Molly was saying, everybody's has their own little things going on. So what do people think about that?
Well, it's right in there with different ability and they're differently abled or, the various, yeah. It's interesting to actually, I mean, I'm still grappling with this to find why, why does there have to be this category at all? I mean, I'm just a person.
That's true. That's a very good point.
But we tend to categorize. I just find myself mostly just not getting upset with anything that, that I hear, and I am willing to step in correction in a kind and gentle way.
Well, and I think that comes with the level of comfort, you have been in your situation for, 25 years, you said, and I think you and I have similar outlooks on some things. And it's because I do think we're both comfortable. And for someone that might be, in a newer situation that they, were just newly injured or had something new happen in their lives, their comfort level might not be there.
Yeah.
And so the way they perceive some language could be taken in a different way.
Yeah.
Well, it would be great if any labels, we didn't have to have them, like I'm 4'10". I was always the short girl, I mean, if we could unlabel everybody, it would be great.
Well, it would be, because A lot of people, have something wrong with them that might not be visual to everybody. Some people might have, dyslexic. They might be dyslexic, and you don't know that unless you know that individual. There's so many things that aren't as obvious as others with people. So that's always something to think about too.
Mm-hmm.
I think people, I'm going to jump in here on this one.
Everybody jump in.
I don't think people intentionally do things to be malicious. I just don't think that they know, and they're trying to use the best language they can. Like, I've only been in a wheelchair for 7 years. When I took my spinal stroke, I never changed, other than the fact that my legs didn't work anymore, being a paraplegic. It was everybody around me who looked at me different or thought that I was going to be a different person. I've actually done more in my life since I've become in the wheelchair, because I learned how to live. I learned not to put things off, and now I have to work doubly as hard just to be taken seriously. But whatever words that people want to use, like, this whole differently abled or varying abled, or, whatever they want to do to make them, they're having the conversation, they're opening up the connection. Let's just let it go. And talk to them, educate them. But how many people do you know that are able-bodied that can't do as much as I can do? You know what I mean? And, you kind of bring that to the thing. You got 3 people sitting in a room. One's athletic, one's a studious and reading, and the other, and they're all, for the most part, physically normal, walking, talking, everybody is different. Everybody is differently abled. Everybody is good or not. So if we change the perspective and look at it from somebody else's point of view, and stop getting so hell-bent on, oh, they might have used the wrong word. I had somebody today in a wheelchair comment on one of my posts that she's wheelchair bound. Now, she's in a wheelchair, and that's how she refers to herself. That's how she wants to do it. That's fine. That's her. You know what I mean? I'm not going to torment her for her or torture her. That's how she's comfortable. To me, as long as the conversation is happening, let it go.
Yeah. I like the wheelchair mobile tag for myself. It's like, this is an extension of my mobility.
Right.
I can crawl, but this is way better.
I like how you called it your ride. That's my ride.
Yeah, exactly. It's my ride.
Yeah. I call mine most of the time my legs. This is my legs. It's not my wheelchair. It's how I get around it. It keeps me moving. It keeps me going.
Cody went snowboarding last weekend. It was awesome, and so people were like, oh my gosh, she uses a wheelchair and she's snowboarding?
But that's great though. That's again another good way to educate people. Like, oh yes, just because she does use a wheelchair, she can still do X, Y, Z, and so much more. That's why it's such, that's kind of how I look at it. And we've all touched on that a little bit, but use that for educational purposes. Don't necessarily use it as a negative, someone speaking down to you or someone speaking negatively to you. Because some people, they just really don't know what to say. And a lot of that, I truly, honestly do believe is the truth. I don't think people are trying to be malicious, and I don't think people are, purposely trying to be rude to somebody. So if you take that time to try to educate somebody, I think that can make all the difference in the world.
I think one word that really bothers me is ableism. I don't like that word, because we are now in churning calling them names that we don't want them to call us. We're being no better than they are. Like, to me, that's just doing the same thing that we're asking them not to do to them. And I just think it's because they're not educated. They haven't been around us enough to know the difference.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Yeah.
I use that word every day. Ableism. I liken it to racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, etc. Disability discrimination is a real thing. So I may have an unpopular opinion, but it's ableism is a real thing. So I use it daily in both my writing and speaking.
The term I don't like is handicapped, because that in basic means cap in hand is where that originally came from.
as a handout. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
What does it mean in golf?
Good question.
Now, so say that again. Handicap means that you're like wanting a handout?
Yes, like a cap in hand, beggars on the street corners from way back.
Yeah.
That's how disabled people usually were only able to make any money, was to beg for money on the street corners.
I did not know that. Wow.
I didn't know that either. I knew I didn't like the term. I knew I wasn't comfortable with the term, but that even justifies it that much more. So
yeah, I think it came out of old English times back when that was, and in some places still is the only way people can.
I think that's why it irritates me so much every time we see the signs up that say handicap parking. It just really irks me.
I'm with you. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I as well.
That too.
My name's Todd. I've been in a chair 34 years, and there's not much that ruffle my feathers, but the word handicap, I'm just like, it's just archaic. I don't care for it. People use it, and it's like, hey, disabled is much better, but we got other problems to really deal with besides that. Just kind of let it roll off your back and just keep on going.
Yep,
I agree. I've been in a chair for 38 years. I've seen them go round and round and all kinds of things. But I would have thought by now that they would have at least changed it to physically challenged. But I guess that doesn't explain enough, because everybody in the whole world thinks they're physically challenged anymore.
One way or another, yeah.
Being pregnant makes you physically challenged. So.
Hi, everyone. I'm a little late to the call, but I just wanted to chime in for a minute. I have a physical disability that's very noticeable. And I think really depending on who you're talking to and what they feel is best for them to describe themselves, it's really going to be different for everybody. So for myself, I don't mind the term physically disabled, whereas somebody else that might have the same disability as me may feel those words are not comforting for them. So I really just think a person is an individual. No label, just a person. And if that person happens to have a quote unquote disability or a disability that's not visible, they're still a human being. They're an individual. And that's how it should be first and foremost. But if we have to describe in terms of, putting quote unquote labels for, say, paperwork, then I would prefer the terms, disabled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thanks for sharing.
I'm really taken back by what handicap.
Right? I have no idea. I didn't know I like it.
You learn something new every day.
Right.
Yeah, now I'm pissed off.
I don't get my feathers ruffled either, but now, if that sign is everywhere.
After 38 years of being in a chair, I don't care what they call me anymore. I just go by, you got to have pretty thick skin anyway, no matter what, because they're going to call you anything. They call me a gimp. They can call you, they can call you anything that they want. You just can't.
As long as they call you and you get done what you need to get done, I agree. I don't really care. I mean, I really believe this world is getting to a point that everything bothers everybody. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Just yesterday I was reading that they now want to take the movie Grease off the air because of how it was made in the times is not good for. I'm like, seriously? It was a movie made in that time. Like, if you know it's such a snowflake, don't watch it. Don't interact with it. I mean, seriously, what somebody likes and what somebody else doesn't like, it's never going to be the same. So let's not get rid of everything just to make some people happy.
Absolutely. Well, again, it's your level of comfort, and that's fine. Everybody has the right to their level of comfort.
Whatever gets the job done.
This is a really hard subject for me, and I was really glad to be able to listen in today. I'm JB. I'm with Quantum. I do education. So this has been troublesome in PowerPoints and verbiage and conversation and everything. And I was really interested to hear the terms that bothered folks and truthfully, all of them, if they're meant in in a negative fashion. All of them. Doesn't matter what it is, you know, doesn't matter how you say it, or it does matter exactly how you say it. It's what you mean by the comment. And if you say something that's way off, you know, maybe you need a little education, but truthfully, it's how you mean it when you say it. And I haven't had a lot of problems with this. I don't think. If I have, dear Lord, please, I don't want to be on a recorded Facebook platform to tell me now. But you know, but I don't. I think it really does come down to explaining the individual as to who they are and what we can, what we can't do, and what our needs and wants are, and just as a person, you know, wheelchair, hearing aid, whatever, you know, knee brace, orthotic. I've got back brace because my back's slipping, you know, whatever. You know, it's just stuff. It's not, it shouldn't be a label, I guess I should say. Not a negative one, at least.
Agreed.
So.
I think the majority of people don't mean, I mean, there's always the horrible people in the world, but I really believe that the majority of the people, 95% of the people, I don't think that they ever mean it negative or condescending, is they just don't know. And they're not going to know until you ask. And I would like to take a poll of the disabled people here. And I think other people have more of a problem with what people call us than what we have a problem with what people call us. To me, if I can get in and I can participate, I don't give a crap what you call me, as long as you call me and you let me in and I can get in and do for myself. I mean, personally.
Well, I've had buddies that are ready to throw down. I'm like, it's okay, man. Just let it go, you know? Let them deal with it. It's okay, you know?
Yep.
Well, I appreciate it. So my name's Christy. I am actually an educator for a wheelchair manufacturer, Mosher Composites, but I'm also a mom of a 21-year-old who's not neurotypical. And so that was the term that we used throughout, because people would say, you know, looks normal, but has some, you know, difference, you know, brain chemistry differences. And so the term that we would use is neurotypical versus normal, or, you know, neuroatypical, or not really atypical. That was never one, but instead of always using the term normal, I would use neurotypical, because good gracious, nobody is normal. Right. So
what is normal?
Exactly. And so, you know, again, development is completely different. And my background was a peds therapist. So Cody would be totally like my favorite kid to work with. Jenny, I would have loved to work with you, though we're too close in age for that. But pediatrics was my background. Well, I'm a little too close in age for that. But I've worked with a young lady in Michigan she's 18, just turned 18, and she has quad CP, uses the communication device. Amazing kid, like so smart, you know, sends me messages all the time. And so everything you guys have been saying, it will help me. That handicap thing blew my mind. But again, as an educator of other clinicians, I feel like it's such not a burden, but it's a heavy responsibility to make sure that as we're portraying this to other people who don't, I guess, interact as much, that it's so important that what we're portraying is what is appropriate. So I'm just so humbled to have been a part of this meeting. So thank you for letting me join.
Well, thanks for joining us, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
And even what you said about the whole handicap thing, I mean, here is 3 of us on this call who are handicapped or disabled or whatever you want to call it, and we didn't even know this. So how many people out there actually know that is what the term, you know what I'm saying? So now that we know that, are you going to look at somebody differently using it, thinking that they know that? Or
but I'm going to educate every person. They don't know.
You know what I'm saying? It just, it's weird, because like I said, I mean, we're all here and we didn't know that at all.
I had no idea.
Here in Missouri, they actually tried to get it changed to something different, but nobody could ever agree on anything different. They already had the signs made. So I think it became more of a financial thing just to leave it alone, because it's just, nobody could really agree to what else we want
I
to
think
put.
here it's accessible parking. I don't think it's handicap. It's accessible parking in most of them.
Yeah. Wheelchair van accessible is ones I like, because I need the extra wide space for my power chair, because I have a ramp.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know how much of it's accessible when somebody parks on the side of you anyway. So, but you know.
Yep, exactly. That's happened to me more than enough times.
Yeah. It's only accessible when people know what the heck they're talking about and how to follow the rules, but no one does that anyway. Again, they just don't know, so they don't follow. So you can call it anything you want.
But Tina, when you and I are together, do we not get the message heard?
Oh, we definitely get the message heard.
Well,
you got to give them that. You got to do it with a smile, where they get that virtual slap in the back of the head and walk away later and going, I think she just insulted me, but you did it with such a smile and grace that they don't realize it until after they're out of your sight. I'm very good at that.
That's what it comes down to. That's what you got to do. I've got a meeting with the director for the Kansas City VA Medical Center on Friday about our spinal cord injury parking, which after I retired from working there for 25 years, we had all these things in place, but of course COVID hit, and so we lost our support group. We lost our evening, our meetings that we had, and our luncheons and stuff. But the worst part is that we had a parking lot that was just for, extra wide wheelchairs, so everybody had that. But we lost it when they started doing new construction. I retired 8 years ago, and so now it's gone. So I just started bitching again. I tried to think I could lay it down and not have to worry about it, and that's what happens to a lot of our young spinal cord people. They have so much that's given to them that people have worked so hard for. The Paralyzed Veterans of America, they've been around, for over 50 years working on this stuff. And so a lot of it's been given to us, and a lot of it came from parents of disabled children. They were the strongest advocates for many, many years, and still could be. But, we don't have as many severe spinal cord injuries like there used to be because of the new drugs and the way that they handle new spinal cord patients. So, I mean, it's really just, it's good that we have these kind of conversations, because we've got to get the troops moving to come together for this, because we all start getting comfortable, and then nothing gets done. And then our next group that comes in, then they are stuck with losing a lot of benefits that were given to them that are going to be taken away because people in legislation are real tricky. And every day they come up with new rules and new regulations, as we've seen.
That's a good word for it, that they're tricky. That's a new one.
Hey, Bonnie, we may need to connect. I'm in the Kansas City area as well.
Oh, cool.
And I spoke about disability awareness and disability etiquette at the VA, and I'm near you. So
cool.
At least connect on Facebook. So
yeah, Bonnie Hilburn.
Okay, I'll find you.
Okay, I'll be looking for it. What's your name?
Kelly Narowski. I live on base at Fort Leavenworth, about 30 minutes north of KC. So.
Oh, you're in the are you a veteran by any chance?
My husband is.
Oh, so he goes to the Leavenworth VA Medical Center?
Yeah, he just retired. So we're going to build a home. We're just trying to figure out where right now and all that. They're letting us stay on base in the ADA home, and I don't know about myself.
I'm very familiar with all that area. I used to go visit Leavenworth about once a month.
I'm ready to get out of here, but we need the ADA home for now until we build.
Okay.
But enough about me. Go ahead.
You too. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take that over, guys. So, but I will be looking for you.
The Professional Golfers Association, the PGA, they blatantly use the word handicapped as part of your golfing game. And I'm offended now. Now that I know what it means,
well,
I'm going after the PGA. Tiger Woods is physically me.
I don't think that's intended. I tried to do golf, and I'm worse than handicap when it comes to my golf game. So I don't even know if I even qualify for handicap in that game.
And Ben, Tiger Woods was in a car accident today, so I think you can't go after him today.
Yeah, you might want to hold off on that just for a little bit. He was in surgery, and yeah.
Does he need an off-road wheelchair?
He might.
Yeah,
He might.
maybe, and I'm not wishing this on anybody, but maybe he'll get a whole new meaning of handicap as well, so he won't be using that anymore.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that works.
It's funny. I'm
surprised he's alive after looking at the look of his car. I mean, it rolled.
Oh my goodness, right?
Yeah.
Bad.
I was listening to Michael J. Fox's newest book today, and he was talking about how he's an avid golfer and about how they were asking him what is his handicap, and he just kind of looked at him like, isn't it obvious like what my handicap is? So I thought, again, I can't say it myself, but he could say it, and I can totally understand it, being a physical therapist and working in the, you know, the profession. So again, it is context, right?
Totally. Yeah. Totally is.
Isn't there a handicap in bowling too?
Yeah, well, there's different kinds. PVA has tournaments that they go to, and there's some really big boys. I have to bowl backwards myself because every time I take the bowling ball backwards, that's when my hand lets go. It won't go forward. So
I put a pool noodle on my foot stand and put the ball on the floor and then just ram it with my wheelchair.
Yeah, that's a great
idea.
It's a lot more fun because you have no idea where the ball's gonna go.
Personally, I like the ramp myself. It's a lot easier.
No, that's what I use the ramp. That's my approach. My niece and nephew love to help Auntie set up the bowling ramp.
They won't let me use the ramp anymore because I used it as a slide.
Of course you did.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
It was shaped like an elephant and looked like a slide, so somebody had to do it.
Yeah, it does look just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an indoor playground. I'm like, what's this for?
Oh, that's
I like to go with my younger grandchildren because then they put those bumpers in there too, so you don't go into the
bumpers are legit. Yep.
And I can blame it on them. They have to have them.
If you are disabled, you can use them too. I get away with using them.
Yeah. I just feel so conspicuous.
I think one of the main themes I'm hearing from all of this today is water off a duck's back, live life to its fullest, have some fun.
I think we're all here to live our lives the best that we can, and we're going to do what we're going to do anyway. So I think it bothers other people more than it bothers most of us for the most part.
No, I think you guys summed it up perfectly. I'll just share a real quick story because I don't want to take any more time up of everybody else. But we were on we were at a bachelorette party, and we were in a stretch like Hummer limousine, and my best friend, it was her wedding, and I was the only one in the car that was in a wheelchair. There was probably about 15 to 20 of us. It was a huge stretch limousine.
Wow.
And it was towards the end of the night, and my girlfriend definitely had her fun, and she had shared, had a couple of drinks and so on and so forth. And so she was sitting in the back of the car, and she was actually laying on my legs. And somebody once just came up and said, "Jen, you're laying on her legs. Do you want to get off of her?" And Jen was like, "Oh, it's fine. She can't feel it anyways." And I was cracking up because I grew up with her. We had known each other since we were 6 years old. And some people in the car took such offense to that. They're like, "That is so rude. I can't believe you would say that about an individual." But once they knew the story, then everybody was like, "Oh, okay." But again, it's water off the back, like she didn't mean it rude to me. That's not what she meant at all. But again, it was that comfort level, and it was the way I perceived it, but the way other people in the car perceived it, some people did not like it whatsoever. But it was just, I was out having a great night with my best friend, and she didn't mean anything negative by it. But so many people had such a hard time with that.
Yeah. I have to say this story because I had somebody come up to me one time. We were talking, and they said, "So you don't use your legs You know, since you're not using your legs, have you ever thought of having them removed? And this is serious. This is serious. And I looked at him and I said, you know, since you're not using your mind,
Do you think you can remove it?
I mean, I had to say it, you know, I had to say it. I was very careful when I said it. But
I could not believe that. Oh my God.
I know, it was really quite stunning. It was really quite, like.
Well, it's funny you say that because my doctor tells me that I should lose some weight. I said, if you cut off my legs and cut off the dead weight and gave me some nice, fake, sexy, shapely ones, you know, then I can eat all the ice cream I want because the dead weight would be gone. So, I mean, it's all on how you look at it and who you're saying it to.
Hey, I've known a paraplegic, a guy, he was an older guy and he had a heart condition, but he ended up, something happened to his legs and they had to amputate his legs. And he was so happy because it made transferring so much easier for him. He was ecstatic about it, but he didn't live much longer, but he was happy about having his legs amputated because that's
well, it would be easier to transfer. You know how many times I go to transfer and they just don't want to come with me? It's like, hello, you're still connected. You still got to come.
Yeah, when they want to go the other direction is what it is.
I go one way, the legs go the other way. It's like, hello, you still got to come with me.
Yeah, singing to the choir here.
Yeah. Or when you don't feel your feet, how many times I go out of the house without shoes? Because if you don't feel your feet, it's not like you're going to bump them or step in something to realize you don't have shoes on.
Right. That happened to me once.
I leave shoes in my car and in my house, and just because I never remember my shoes, because it's a real thing when you can't feel your feet.
True. Or lose one shoe and nobody even bothered to tell you, did you know you don't have but one shoe on? I lost a shoe once in a shopping mall and nobody even bothered to tell me until I got all the way home and I couldn't find my shoe. It's like, where I have to go back and try to retrace my tracks.
Oh, yes.
We could write a book, couldn't we? All of us, everyone.
Oh, everybody could chime in. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the book the book that I would really like to. So whenever I travel, I take pictures of all the accessible bathrooms. I think we could do an amazing book just on what they consider accessible, like the one with the toilet paper 5 feet across the room.
Well, you know, if it has that pretty little wheelchair sticker on it, it's accessible. That's all it needs. It just needs that sticker.
Yep.
Well, what about the doors like at the post office that have the handicap sticker on them and they're still big and heavy doors? I've yet to figure that out, how they consider that.
Because they think the sticker is there, it's accessible. The sticker's there, look.
Well, yeah, or they're push button, but the buttons are nowhere to be found, or they're so much taller than, you know, someone's range of motion or that where we could reach it. So it still doesn't help my situation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right. Or the trash cans on the in front of the elevator button.
All the time, all the time.
Oh no, I like the trash cans that everybody's like, it's got a foot pedal. Well, that'd be great if my foot worked.
Pry the lid open,
Yeah.
Ew, yeah.
They're like, what? Like, when I just got a Habitat house, they're all like, why do you need $100 trash can that century? Like, just get one with a foot pedal. Well, that'd be great if my foot worked for the foot pedal.
Yes, you would love that.
Yeah. It would make my life a lot easier. But
it sure would. And you wouldn't have $100 trash can.
Yeah.
That's why God invented reachers.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I wouldn't have one though.
You wouldn't have what?
A trash can with a foot pedal on it. That just doesn't
no.
me at all.
I try to roll over on them, you know, with my chair when there's one, but that doesn't work all that well.
It really doesn't.
No.
I agree.
Yeah.
If you hit the trash barrel hot enough, the cover automatically opens.
How is everyone dealing with all this COVID stuff? Have you all got your shots?
Nope.
Not
I
yet.
can't get it. I'm still got COVID.
Well, I got my shots about 2 weeks ago, but I had to beg, grovel, and whine to get it. Finally, they let me in to do it. But you have to know, I had to go through the people at the hospital would never tell me. At the Kansas City Hospital wouldn't tell me. They kept saying, and if you go online, you got to go through the state to get the authorization first.